So, no, I mean, you touched on the fact that one of their goals definitely had to be making the playoffs, getting somebody like Zach playoff experience, changing the culture in general to a winning mindset instead of being this tankathon, refreshing every morning kind of mindset of a team. And you got that. And you're going to get the answers of whether or not you're confident building around Zach LaVine going forward. Obviously, the injury issues, I'm sure they'll get more answers in the offseason in regards to longevity with that. But for the most part, they accomplished every single box that you could have ticked from a front office standpoint in the first year of their real rebuild here. And they turned this team around. We were sitting at the top of the conference for the most of the year. And if Lonzo Ball stays healthy, you can't convince me that they wouldn't have stayed there.
And I love that you say that because it's kind of like a recency bias thing, right? Where people are like, oh, this team doesn't mesh well together. And it's like, yo, pump the brakes. We know we do not have a superstar. And you know, curse me for the hot take here. Zach LaVine's not. He's not. Like, when I think of superstar, like, go with me here. Like, am I wrong? Like, I think like KD. I think like Giannis. There's not a lot of them. You know, I mean,
I guess the argument with Zach would be for people to say, do you think Devin Booker is a superstar?
No, I don't think Devin Booker, without a good team around him, can help carry his team to the playoffs. And he didn't. So, I mean, Phoenix started getting really good, but how many awesome pieces surrounded him? Mikal Bridges, DeAndre Ayton, then they bring in Chris Paul. I mean, they bring in defense along with that.
The Suns are a superstarless team. They're just a very well put together team.
I wouldn't call Devin Booker a superstar. I can't.
I mean, and I'm there with you, just because I don't see him as the two-way guy. And in my mind, that there's a very select few players that aren't really two-way players that I consider superstars, like Luka.
Right.
Don't classify him as a two-way player, but he's a superstar.
I mean, again, but look at the team around Luka Doncic and look what he did with them. Okay, yes. Dallas is not a crazy talented fucking team. Their second best player for the majority of the year.
They don't have a decade's worth of first round draft picks and high end lottery picks and all these things compiled there to put around.
Right. And my point is
their roster changed a lot.
He is so good on one side of the ball, Goose, that he has them in the 4th seed. You know, Luka Doncic, that is. He's so good that makes him a superstar on one side. Like, he's not great defensively, but without the second best player on his team, he did wonders this year for Dallas. That is a superstar.
So as long as you're not classifying somebody like Devin Booker as a superstar, then I think in the definition that we're defining of a superstar, that no. Zach is not going to have the juice to be the superstar. I do not, as much as it pains me to have to say that, I don't think that Zach is the guy that wins you games. I mean, unfortunately, we touched on it off the air a little bit in the sense that you had a 32-year-old DeMar DeRozan who is obviously a lot more experienced and established than Zach. But he came here and Billy Donovan gave him just as much opportunity in this system. And you saw things out of DeRozan that we haven't seen from Zach still, like closing games. And maybe DeMar's success in the 4th kind of ruined that availability, that possibility for Zach to show us that this year, because DeMar was just so dominant to close games that going to anybody else was damn near criminal. But it just doesn't feel like Zach is going to be that top 10, top 20 player that gets classified as a superstar, that somebody sees your team and goes, oh, that guy's playing tonight? We're not winning.
I definitely think Zach helped us win games, for sure. I think, to your point, though, like that the takeover part, I felt like when those came, like when Zach was balling in the beginning part of the season, the clumps came in the 2nd and 3rd, with some big baskets here and there in the 4th, no doubt, but the ball kind of went to DeRozan. That's even when Zach was healthy. Now, I'm not taking that away from him being a superstar because of that reason. It's just, you kind of watch glimpses of what DeMar was doing. I wouldn't call DeMar one either.
Nope.
But then you go over, to Milwaukee and you just watch their broadcasts, or you go over to Brooklyn and you watch their broadcasts. Shit, as much as I hate to say it, you go over to fucking LA and you watch some of their broadcasts. In Dallas, you see what these unicorns really are. And I don't think Zach is that. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't think he's an effective NBA player. I think he is above average, way above average NBA player, mind you. I believe that. And I just want to answer Yump's question here. So he goes,
let's throw that one up there.
Yeah, if you don't think he's a superstar, do you give him the max? Absolutely. And this is why. The max isn't what the max was when, like, Derrick Rose signed it. Okay, like, the max isn't what the max was when LeBron got his first max back in the day. This is different now. CBA is different. The contracts are different. You could still put really great pieces around your max player at high level. Like, you know, there's way to manipulate everything. He still deserves his bag. I give him that. He was doing things, as Goose loved to point out last season and this season, the 25, 5 and 5 shit that he was flirting with. If he didn't get hurt, he would have had it again. I'm 90% sure. He was going to have that going. That is a fucking great basketball player. That is a star. That is a star. The superstar thing is like when, again, those guys I mentioned before is where, okay, that's where I see that. And now that we're talking about Zach, I do not want to let him go. I want him to stay in Chicago. I just, how do you got to build around him. And they tried that. I don't know how this looks next year, but I would like him to say I think he's a star player. I think he had a very good season until that night in January when he tweaked his fucking knee against Golden State and everything went downhill from there.